Welcome back, everyone, to another Mondays with Micah. I know I say this all the time, but I did not tell Colette what to wear today. This is Colette Hill, everyone. I love her name. It feels very, I don't know, just very like fancy.
It means victorious.
Victorious. Wow. Okay. We're already getting into it, y'all. Victorious. I love that. We just can't, we're recording this the day after Easter. This is going to be dropping later in the month, but I love that. So to be given a name that has power in it, that's good stuff right there. That's good stuff. I did not tell her to wear pink or anything close to it. Closer up, it looks a little bit orange, but aren't we looking cute here today? I've got nice and bright. We've got this fake tulip wreath behind me here. She said, "Did you make that?" I said, "Absolutely not. Kirkland's did." So we are here to continue the conversation here with Mondays with Micah, and I have known Colette on and off for over a year. Yes. So last year about this time, we did about an 8-week course at the YMCA. I am sad to say that by the end of that course, I was unraveling personally, but they got to see in real time that I'm just like you. I'm a widow walking through things. And around this time last year, my father-in-law, David Dillon, was declining quickly. And it was a very sudden illness for us. To be diagnosed in March and to be entering eternity in April was a fast situation. Fast illness. This isn't what this is about, but when I see Colette, I'm just telling you, it's taking me back. It's taking me back to me crying, trying to have one of our last meetings. Really, we had a couple more after that, but I was falling apart. And they said, "We don't have to have this today if you're not feeling up to it." I said, "I need this today to get me out of my funk." It took me the rest of that day.
It did.
It took me the rest of that day to really release all the emotions that were bottling up inside of me. And for those of you, we're coming up. April 25th is when my father-in-law passed, Colette. So we are coming around, and it's kind of this looming thing. I'm just getting into it. Colette just walked in the door, y'all. So she doesn't know what we're going to talk about. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but I believe the Holy Spirit knows what we're going to talk about here today.
Always leads.
Thank you. I mean, the preacher, she's got it inside her. So when gospel gets with spirit, a lot of fun things happen. So you're going to get a lot of joy here today on this episode. It's a message with our brightness that is coming through the close. It's a message here today. We're bringing some cheer, and we're going to smile from ear to ear, I like to say. So that is where we kind of met. And you came to this year's Walk of Love. Did you come to last year's?
I did.
Okay. So this has been a cool thing, Colette. Since we had the dinner, all the widows that have been on the show have been to the dinner. And so it's given an opportunity to reflect and ask you, what can you tell the people? Because we're going to do it again. And it helps us to hear the feedback. It also, I hope, entices the future widows and widowers. And the interesting thing was they didn't come the first year because they weren't a widow. And then, so I had ones on the show here that were new widows, not even a year in, and got to hear their feedback. So what can you tell the listeners about the Walk of Love?
It's an experience that I was excited about. I was glad to have gone to the first one. I was excited about that one. And it brought a sense of camaraderie, hope, symbols of hope, excitement, and something to look forward to. You're in this new stage of life, and you don't know where you're going. You don't know what to do, but there are others there that have gone through the same process or experience as you have, and you form a group, you form a camaraderie. It's a support base, and that's what I found it to be. I found out about the Widows Walk at the Y. There were several widows and widowers in our class, at our Stretch, Bend, and Move class, and I didn't know that they were widows or widowers. But when they were offering the 8-week course, as an introduction, I stayed and listened because I was a widow, pretty much a new widow. And I said, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. And in the class there were several women and one male, and it 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 took us out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
We opened up. Um, there were no inhibitions in the sense that you were afraid to talk or didn't want to talk. You just felt comfortable and you just let yourself go. And that was one of the great things that I appreciated about it. With the second year of the dinner banquet, it again, it was exciting. It was like a reunion.
Awesome. I like this.
It was like a reunion because we saw folks who were there last year, and then there were some who were new to this experience. And the second time, I had the pleasure of seeing Chaplain Sharon, I believe that's her name, at the from the hospital. She was there with me when my husband had his heart attack.
Wow.
And she was there to be a support to me and my children. And she, being a widow herself, she was able to express some of the things that she had gone through. And just being there as a support. It's like when I saw her a few weeks later in the post office, it was like, hi, Chaplain. And then at the banquet this past March, I saw her again, and it was like a reunion and an update.
Wow.
To let her know what has transpired in the time since I saw her last.
Okay.
And it was like a progress report.
Wow.
It was like
this is awesome.
It was like a progress report to give her an update. And I'm going to share with our viewers one of the progress things that has happened. I don't know if you can do an update, but this was my husband's wedding band.
Yes.
And she explained to me how she had converted her husband's wedding band into like a little a keepsake with a picture in it, I believe.
Okay.
Well, my husband was a United Methodist pastor, and we were married for 42 years. And it was unexpected. Like I said, he had a heart attack. And when he had passed away, and we were in that emergency room, my son had taken his wedding band off his finger and gave it to me. And I didn't want to just leave it in a drawer in the jewelry box. So I had this necklace made out of his wedding band with the United Methodist symbol.
I see that.
And it was like I was inspired to do that. It was like the Spirit kept saying, do this. Use the heart, the cross and the flame, and you'll have this as his memory, because that's who he was.
Who he was.
So, I'm just proud to have had this made at Smith Jewelers. Billy Smith.
Yes.
We'll
give a plug here today.
Yeah, Billy Smith. I'm sorry, Billy. A phenomenal job. And I'm so appreciative. I'm so appreciative of my faith community. They have been a total support for me. We've been living in Franklin. Well, it's going on 4 years now, but at the time it was 2 years.
Okay.
We had moved to Franklin from Northern Virginia when my husband retired. And it was just by happenstance that we moved here. It's country. I'm a city girl. I'm from Philadelphia. And my husband is from New Bern, North Carolina. So we were trying to find a place that was comfortable for us, not high cost of living like it is in Northern Virginia, but peaceful and comfortable. And by happenstance, by way of our daughter, we ended up in Franklin, and I'm satisfied. I'm happy. It's peaceful, very much slow paced compared to the big city that I'm from. And I couldn't be more happier to have had the support base from my faith community and the Widow Walk and my sorority. There's been so many facets, aspects that I've had that has helped me adjust. It's been hard. There have been many moments where I felt like I was just so despondent and lonesome. I didn't know what to do with myself because I was so accustomed to being with my husband. We went everywhere together, traveled together, and then he's gone and the weekends are here. It's like, what do you do now?
Right.
What do you do now? So I had to learn how to step out of my comfort zone. Everywhere I needed to go or we went, he drove. So now I'm having to do that. It's not like this little long, short trip over to Suffolk or
Yes.
Portsmouth or something like that. I took a chance and drove to North Carolina one
Wow.
time to visit his family. So it shows me that I can do it if I say I want to do it.
Well, Judy Hawkins Dunn, we just did a video with her. We haven't done this yet, but in the beginning of us with this Woulda Walk, she would do something new, like you're saying, stepping out of our comfort zone. This nonprofit, all the things that we're doing, we're stepping out of our comfort zone. It's feeling more comfortable to me now, but in the beginning, and still we're doing new things, challenging ourselves to grow, to get in rooms we don't feel like we are qualified to be in. And I started to say, Judy, you did that. Like, Colette, you did that. And I said, this is a t-shirt. So we have so many ideas of just when you hear Colette say, I didn't do this. And I told myself, I'm going to do this. And she did that. And I said, that's an empowered statement. And the thing is, if you wore that shirt, it's talking to the person across from you because it's like reading it. You did that. Like, oh, you're giving them a compliment. And they might say, hey, why are you wearing it? So it's in the works. Okay. It's in the works to hear this. Now I'm going to ask you the question. We're going to kind of go present and then I want to go back. But I remember in the class that you would bring these little notes. And they were things that you found along your readings?
My devotionals, mainly from the upper room, daily devotions.
Okay.
A lot of those came from there. And they would coincide with whatever topic we had in class.
You're right.
It was very coincidental.
And so there were some times where Colette would say, I think the Spirit's speaking to me because now it's in more than one witness. She read something, I mean, it was like within days. Then something would connect again. And we did not continue that because I needed to take a break after my father-in-law passed because, like I said in the beginning of this video, it emotionally, you never know when someone passes how it's going to affect you. And he affected me deeply. And it just took my breath away a little bit, and I needed to reacclimate because it feels like a bomb's gone off, there's shrapnel all around, and you got to go find pieces of your heart again. And some of those pieces are kind of like not for you anymore. And so I hope you can hear that sometimes you feel like your heart's been broken into a million pieces. I know that's a phrase. I wouldn't say it was broken in a million pieces, but there was a level of loss let's say that a depth of loss and things that not good thoughts, okay? Some grief thoughts that can be pretty dark found me after my husband passed about my husband that passed. Does that make sense what I'm saying? And that was shocking to me because even 8 years later, it'll be 9 years this June. It came and you really have to move through those emotions and we're still learning how to articulate that. But why am I bringing these things up? I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face, Colette, that grief is a full body experience. It is a mind experience. It blows your mind a little bit, meaning the grief scatters your mind. Let's say it like that. Your thoughts don't feel as clear for a time. For some widows, a long time. And then your heart feels so raw, so exposed that any little thing that happens after your husband passes seems to click to it quickly. Almost if you think about like you're hanging one of those, if you think about those fly catchers, you've got that sticky tape, okay? It's exposed. It doesn't take much for something to stick to it. And that's new. That's new because it's not that maybe you have or haven't lost your parents, but the love of a husband is different than the love of a parent.
Yeah. And I want to add to that because that same year, I did lose my mother in July of 2024. And then we're going on through life, feeling I was in acceptance of her passing. She had dementia.
Okay.
And then here it is, November 2024, I lose my husband. So it was like a double whammy on me.
Absolutely.
And those emotions and feelings, there were times where I didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't feel like doing anything. And I recognized those signs. I said, I have to go. I have to keep going because I know God says, I will be with you. You're lonesome. He said, I'll comfort you. I'll be your friend. And I believe that. And so that's how I'm able to pull through. I still go through it every day where I have to push myself to do something.
It
But
feels harder.
It does. It really does. And the weight is real. And it's like there are times where I just want to holler and shake the house, just holler so hard that the house is shaking.
But it's your heart that's shaking.
It's my heart and
but it
my
feels
body.
like the house.
Uh-huh.
That's how heavy
Yeah,
it is.
It is. And it's a lot of prayer. A lot of prayer.
And for some reason, and I have to ask you this question too, like we've been to funerals. But for some reason, until it happens to you, unless you are vocal, which is what we're here trying to exercise here at the Widow Walk, is to help the widows and widowers become vocal about, or empowered, let's use that word, more confident to use their voice, as we would say with our kids when they're younger. Use your words. Use your words. Well, guess what? Grief gets you a little tongue-tied.
Yeah, it does.
And depression, if you deal with any of that, I've heard it so many times that you there's no words. It just like takes your words. It makes me think of the Disney movie with the Little Mermaid, and like Ursula, it's like she took her vocal box. That's the grief, y'all. It literally can it can pendulum where people have a lot to say, but then the people they're around can't handle a lot that they have, and then they feel awkward. Basically, the widow can feel awkward, like I'm too much, like I've got too much, because the grief is so big. And if you don't have any frame of reference for that, and really what I want to say is if you haven't walked through it, the understanding is very limited, and I don't think the compassion is quite the same.
It seems different because when my husband passed away, there were all those phone calls and cards and what have you. It's not happening. And I understand.
Yes.
People move on and go on with their life or whatever you want to call it. But as I said earlier, I'm at a period of acceptance.
Yes.
Because when I go to church every Sunday and I look at that altar, I can see that that's where he was laying out. And it's like, well, he was there, but I know where he is. I know he's happy. So I'm happy.
Now, that's bringing me to another question from another widow that I've talked to. She said that she had a hard time coming to church when it wasn't her husband's voice anymore. Was that an adjustment?
It could be, but I think I see and feel more of him when I'm sleeping in the dreams. I see him in dreams a lot.
Wow, I love that. I love that.
You know.
I don't dream. So that's not a gift that I got in
Yeah.
that way. For me, it comes through songs. So there's the spiritual connection, if you want to say, but I believe, and I think you believe that their spirit's alive.
Yeah.
And
I do.
there's unique ways, and the dream thing, this goes to the Old Testament. There were many times that the Spirit of God spoke through dreams to get a message to some of his messengers. And there's a song that the lyric of it says, calling all the messengers, calling all the messengers. It repeated and looped in my mind so much within that first year of my husband passing, calling all the messengers, calling all the messengers. And there's a term, the clarion call. I felt like I got the call, and I'm like, I'm picking it up. I'm picking it up. This was a widow that didn't know she was on the bench, but she had to really get in the game called life. And I thought I was living. I thought I was in the game because I was alive, But there's kind of like living, and then there's living through suffering. Okay, let's say that there's a living that's different when you're having to live through suffering and survive it and share the story. And so back to this, her name being Victory. We just celebrated Easter. We knew of a man who walked through suffering, but it didn't end there. And that is something that I love to sing about. I love to sing about victory in Jesus. I mean, that's a song. There's so many different ones. But what can you say back? Let's go back again. So I'm going to try to get my brother-in-law on here. But he suffered a heart attack in the last few weeks, and thankfully he knew the signs, got to a hospital within 8 minutes, and they were able to put 3 stents in. He said he was at a 20 in pain, and they were able to do it through his arm and got it in there, and he said it's at a 4. He felt the relief.
Oh boy.
He was awake for all of this. 59 years old.
Young.
And so that, our history in the family haven't really been making it. And so he got a wake-up call a couple of weeks ago. And can you share, had he been having any, let's call them episodes leading up to that point, that you can share? Because here at the Widow Walk, we want to educate you on some things about things to look for to potentially save a life, to be able to share with other women and men. For example, with my husband, it was the widow maker, and I found him in the shower. I have since learned that if you're having some heart issues, don't get in the shower, because if there is a blood clot, the warmth of the shower raises your blood pressure and basically can push that blood clot to his heart, which is what happened. So can you share any reflection on that?
Well, in my case, my husband did not have any of the signs.
Okay.
We had lunch together, and he had been working out in the yard raking leaves, and we had lunch, and he decided to lay down and take a nap. And he laid down. He said he wasn't feeling well, and I didn't have any symptoms. The food wasn't bad, but our son was there. We had to push him and encourage him. One of the things with men is that you try to tell them and push them to go to the doctor, and their pride won't let them. But it's like you had to drag them out of the house to take them there. And we took him to the hospital, to the emergency room. He was signed in quickly. He went to the restroom and he was staying in there so long. I went to check. Thankfully, he didn't lock the door. I opened it and he was in the midst of the heart attack.
Whoa.
So it's like, be observant. You if you know what those signs are, be observant and act quickly, because that's what we did. We were fortunate that we were at the hospital when it happened.
But he didn't come back from that.
He coded one time and they brought him back, and he coded again and he didn't make it.
Wow. And that is how the day changed.
It did.
It's like it started and it began. And this was the beginning of Colette's new start. Mm-hmm. The chapter closed right before her eyes.
It did, quickly.
And that's shocking. Okay, that's shocking. And if you've not really been through shock, I'll tell you, physically for me, it didn't really hit me right away. It was almost like a delayed response. Mm-hmm. Now, what about for you on that regard?
I was in shock, but I kept pushing myself because of my 2 adult children. Mm. They went through their emotions. I did go through mine. They took it very hard because that was their father.
Yes. And
I was in shock. I was total shock. I was trying to keep myself together for our children, but go ahead on and do your thing, have your emotions. But for me, it was like, I gotta be strong. I gotta be strong. And I, for the most part, I did try to be strong. I was in many cases, but I let myself grieve.
Awesome.
I did. I allowed myself to grieve because I had to.
Can you explain what grief looks like for you?
Well, for me, it was physical. I could feel the heaviness, the load, like the total exhaustion, like I was sizzling, burning out, numbness, too numb to cry, didn't want to eat, tried to eat, tried to sleep, couldn't rest, had a hard time getting to sleep. So
And this was not symptoms you had before?
No.
Okay.
I don't have any problems eating.
So here, this again, back to the education component here. There, never had I heard. Maybe I was too young. Maybe they didn't want to burden me with the information. Maybe I didn't ask, okay? All these things we could say, but I'm asking now because I'm collecting data. I'm collecting information because I think there's some commonalities. The more I understand what's happening, the more I can continue to pursue exposing some things, potentially getting into some hospitals. I don't know what's going to happen, Colette, about how to help educate people before these things happen, not after. And the lack of knowledge. So what do I mean by that? There's physiological components. All I'm telling you is, if you just faced sudden loss, very sudden moments, and all of these weird symptoms start happening to you, what is to tell you that you're not going to? How did you know that this wasn't a real serious situation and that it was more emotional?
For myself?
Yes.
Well, one thing that did stand out was I felt like I was having heart palpitations. Mm-hmm. Like mild chest pains, what have you. And because I was noticing those things, I went to the doctor and had it checked out. I went to my primary doctor and I was referred to the cardiologist, and they did the stress tests, everything, the monitors, and it's normal. everything's been coming out normal, but I'm still being monitored,
Yes.
especially if you have a family history
Thank you.
of heart disease. Because in my husband's family, his mother did have congestive heart failure. So there's a family history, heredity.
And so, okay, some clues here. Just because you don't have to wait till you feel a concern to start building your medical history. Okay, point one. We can go, this is called preventative care. Proactive care is what I like to call it. Here at the Widow Walk, we want to be a part of proactive care. This is being an informed patient. Reactive care is when we go when there's a concern. Proactive care is going to get educated before there's a concern. Because if we know how to handle the situation, there's going to be a better outcome from the situation. My brother-in-law had read up about the different things with a heart attack. He was concerned about it for his own family history. He didn't see it coming that day, but it did. And he faced it. And due to the timeliness of him getting in there, let me just say that again. The timeliness, when in doubt, when you feel strong heart palpitations, something attacking you, get to the ER. Tell them, I think I may be having a heart attack. I don't think he had full numbness, but certain symptoms were happening. And we're going to hopefully get him on the show to detail that further, just to educate those of you to not delay, because the timeliness, when he went to the cardiologist post, they said, you don't have the heart damage. It didn't get to damage his heart. I didn't even know that was possible, Colette, because most of the people, it's attack after hit after hit. And by the time you get there, there potentially is. So I'm letting you know there's a margin of time. It's not a lot of time, y'all. But for him to be at work and get in there, they alarmed everybody. People jumped to it. And I believe that was the mercy of the Lord that came and protected him that day. And, you know, he has to take some time off to rebound from that. But the cardiologist was basically like, you don't even need to do physical therapy, because of some of the things he had been doing, exercise, before he got there. So this is not to negate what happened. This is not to say, well, if he would have done this, this, and this, maybe he'd be. That's not what I'm trying to say. This is to help bring in some things as women. As she said, the men have a hard time going to the doctor unless they're bleeding or something's broke. And when it comes to tricky things like blood clots or high cholesterol or this plaque that can break off, and my mother had a stroke last year, that's also another place in the body where the plaque, the blood clot can happen. And they said if she would have, when you feel something like this going, take 4 baby aspirin. It'll help start thinning your blood. Until you get there, these are little tips, hacks to help preserve your life until you can get the rest of the helpers on board. I am so passionate about this because these suddenly moments really take a toll on the survivor. And I'm telling you, it felt like it was weakening my heart.
Yeah, it can and it does.
And I think that really, maybe they didn't say this to you, but I didn't start learning what anxiety was, or these episodes of almost panic attack things. This all happened after. So when she's talking about heart palpitate, I had that. And it's the physical thing of the weight. No one talked to me about this my entire life. Did you know of it?
I've heard of it. And what I'm observing is that these symptoms are occurring in younger and younger individuals.
Yes. And that, I'm blaming everything on COVID personally. Just whatever happened in the earth across the globe, This is nothing I read. This is my own opinion. Take it, trash it, whatever. Things have felt heavier, more exhausting to do basic tasks since then.
Mhm.
It has felt physically harder to do everyday things or the motivation to want to do it. It's less. I don't have all the motivation. Now he was gone for me already. So he passed before COVID. So I had a double added whatever. If that makes any sense to you, y'all, that it just seems like the world is different post COVID. There was a transition that happened. I'm not going to try to get into the conspiracies of what people feel about all of that, but for whatever reason, it is harder.
Mhm.
And so, okay, we beat that horse long enough. With that being said, a lot of this acceptance thing you're talking about, they really say that's the final stage in the grief process. And there's a lot of widows that do not get to acceptance. They're stuck because they keep reliving some things. Can you talk about how did you come to acceptance so quickly, or was it quick?
I would say that once he passed away, it seemed like the Spirit of God kept talking to me, dealing with me, guiding me through. And that's all that I had to hold on to. Like I said, I had the support of my family, but throughout the whole entire situation and ordeal, the Spirit kept dealing with me, guiding me, and speaking to me. Um, my devotionals, I do read the Upper Room, but then there's this other one that I have, and it's called Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. And that book, it seemed like every day, every devotional was designed for me. And I had her other one, I can't even remember the name, and I read it earlier, but it was hope.
Yes.
Hope kept me going.
And you know
Hope
what?
kept me going.
Someone gifted me one of those too. I don't think I had read a Jesus Calling before that as part of with my devotion. I don't think I had it. And you know what hers stuck out to me? That the way she wrote felt like Jesus was a friend. And I wanted to feel that way with Jesus too. And it did take, and y'all have heard me say this about a pen in my hand and journaling was the access to feeling like I could write like her. Not like her, but if that makes any sense, that I started asking questions with a pen in my hand. Holy Spirit, why am I feeling like this today about whatever the situation was? And I would write all this stuff down. And the Spirit guided my hand, I'm telling you, because the way I'm talking and what I wrote back was way kinder, way more compassionate, way more encouraging than I was thinking in my head. And I knew it wasn't my own. Can you share with the listeners what are some of these examples of what guided means? Because I feel like we've really got to break these things down, because I just wonder sometimes, I think the Lord is speaking to so many and they don't know it.
Sometimes God speaks to me through song, or just speaks to me directly. As I said earlier, I said about feeling lonesome, and I kept saying, "Oh, I'm by myself." And God said, "I'm here. You're not by yourself. I'm here. Stop that. I'm here." So that's how I dealt with it.
And when you say that, I'm playing dumb right now because I understand what she's saying, but I want to make sure that those listening understand. When God said that, does a thought pop into your head? Do you feel like you're having an inner conversation? Do you feel like it's somewhere in your heart, something? How can you, where is it? Where is this coming from?
It's all over. It's
Okay.
like he's speaking to my heart. He's speaking to my mind, my total being. I just like you hear that calm, quiet voice that's saying something to you, and it's like you open your heart up, you open up your soul, and allow it to come in and guide you, speak to you, and be receptive and accept.
How can you open up your heart that just got smashed?
Now that I really don't know.
How
I
did
just
you
let
do
go.
it? How did
Like
you do it?
I just I was like a rag doll. I just flopped down. So okay, Lord, go for it.
So you got tired enough
Mm-hmm.
that you called out.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll say, "Help, Lord, help."
I can attest. There were these pity parties that she's talking about. I remember feeling so tired. I was like, oh my, like, I can't have my days feel like this. And I was just like crying out. I was crying out. I'm like, Lord, I need help. Like, and it's like this, it's almost like finally, like we're the ones making it harder on ourselves, is what I'm trying to say. We have to wait until we're so beat down because we're trying to do it in our own strength. But the scripture literally says, in my weakness, in our weakness, he gets to show himself strong. If we've got it, why does he need to come and help us? He doesn't. It's when we're weak that we call on him. But the more that we get into a posture of surrender, I'm not going to call it weakness here. We're transitioning the term. Surrender. She plopped down like, here I am. Strength. Courage.
And he was there all the time, just standing there.
Waiting to be asked.
Watching.
Waiting to be asked. That's the gentleman that he is. This is the dance of this thing. Because can you explain? My mother says it to me now, but she's like, well, the Lord is your husband now.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
And that's true. Because I'm saying, oh, I'm by myself. Should I date? Nope. And God said, well, I'm here. I am here. You don't need anybody else. I'm here. We talked about this in class. And God was there all the time. It was like, okay, you go through that little motion. And he said, okay, now listen to me. Listen to me. And this is what you need to do. Listen to me. I'll help you. I'll guide you through. Listen to me.
And that's not with a strong hand. That's with a soft hand. That's with that, like she said, a guide. Someone like, hey, Colette, you're getting a little over here. Like, I'm gonna bump you back. My personality isn't, we are the ones trying to sometimes, and for me, when that chapter closed, I was at a loss, like, meaning mentally, I felt like I'm at this cliff. It's like we were on this trip together called life, and then all of a sudden, somehow we got on this detour, and he jumped off a cliff, and I'm standing at the end of the cliff, and there's no bridge. But if you've seen any of these tracks and things like that, what's the bridge to get over to the other boulder? It's the cross. The cross has always been the bridge. And I had to really carry my own cross and surrender whatever it was. And part of really my message here at the Widow Walk is that I was shocked within myself, and I'm going to ask you the question. Even in all of it, I still believe that God's good.
Yes, indeed.
How can we say that, Colette? How can you say that you can still believe and see that God is good in the land of the living when you have faced death?
That scripture that says, I am always with you. I'll never leave nor forsake you. When my husband passed away, the mundane, daily, worldly things didn't stop. I had to jump in there and keep going to pick up the business dealings, the medical, the bills or whatever. I had to do that. I didn't. It was like my mom was saying, you don't have time to be moping around. You got to go ahead on and get this stuff done because it has to be done. There are deadlines. And again, help me, Lord, help. And that's what God did. I just couldn't just stop.
Ignore it.
Yeah, that's the right word, ignore.
And some do, okay?
Yeah.
Some do. And there is things I really do feel that there's not enough grace for some of these bills, for some of these timelines. They are so sudden. That's where some panic came in for me, because when you're used to a certain pace, you know, if you're going to run a race or you're going to run a marathon, you get to prepare.
Mm-hmm.
You train for it. Let's say it like that. When sudden loss happens, you have no training. And so you're put into a new road. She's on a new path when she hadn't been doing the training. But what I will say, in the spirit, you were well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
You were well prepared.
Mm-hmm.
So even if physically her body had to catch up, her mind had to catch up, but the spirit was right where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But that has to take history with the Lord for you to be there.
True.
And for those who do not have the Lord as the Lord of your life, okay, the Lordship, we're under him. We're not on top. We're not God of our story. He's the God of the universe, mm-hmm. and we are just one of the ones living in the 7 billion that are alive here. Mm-hmm. It's more than we can understand. But when you feel that prompting, what got me excited, Colette, is that you can co-create with Christ. You're now invited. He's always there, but the awareness for Colette to realize that he's waiting to be asked. And then when she asks him, he probably tells you more than you thought he was going to say. Mm-hmm. And do you walk away with your head held down, downcast after that?
No.
Never. When we listen to ourselves, beats. We're sticking ourselves, we're beating ourselves up. When we talk to Jesus, what does he do?
He gives you the victory.
Victory in Jesus. Mm-hmm. There's victory over our real situations. I want to say petty. They're not petty, but in the big scheme of life, some of the things that we're whining about is pretty petty. But when you have to recalibrate, mm-hmm. when two people were carrying 45 responsibilities every day, and then overnight dumped 45 things onto you, for you to think that you can just, boop, no problem, easy, isn't realistic, y'all. Especially depending on the demands that you had. But he was retired.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So, and hopefully, did you have things in place for like things like this?
I would say pretty much. It wasn't 100%, but it was pretty much.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you were able to talk with family, and did anybody help you with some of the things, like having to go to Social Security, dealing with some of the death certificates, and who needed that, and the phone bill?
Oh my God! See, we having had done that for our mother, my sisters and I, we pretty much had an idea. So when my husband passed away, and after his funeral, it was like I dived in and started moving. So I knew I had to get things done quickly. There was still some grieving, but I was still pushing along.
Okay. So at what point do you feel like the tasks got done and you were able to actually sit with the loss? Did it ever get to a point that you, like you said, you were grieving along the way, all of it is flushing some of it out, but did you feel like you ever stopped long enough to really like let it get through? Or are you still in that? Is that even a thing? People think it's a thing.
It's hard to say. I would say it took several months, and I had to take a big break, a nice big break, where I didn't have anything pressing on me, and pretty much focus on myself. It was still there.
Mm-hmm.
That physical touch of grief was still there, but I had to take some time to focus on myself, take a
And
break.
that's when you made those appointments and did some of that?
Yeah, and took a trip,
Okay, good,
a
good.
big trip.
Okay, so now looking back over this time, you've kind of already said it, but where did you see God in your story? Like, where can you give some examples? Because this is really a faith, okay, blog. I want proof of His presence, proof of His kindness, proof of Him showing up for you. The scripture says He's near to the brokenhearted.
Mm-hmm.
So we have experiences of evidence, hard evidence of Him being near.
I would say the first one was when we went to pick out my husband's coffin, his casket.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot remember what the inscription was because again that shock was there. But whatever it was perfect. It was
It was a
specific.
clue.
It was a clue. It was specific.
Mm-hmm.
Then at his funeral service, how it came together. We put it together. My children and I, we had some of his clergy friends, former ministers, my church. It pulled together. It was God. God, nobody but God. It was pulled together. Even the repast, it was pulled together. And then with the cemetery, military cemetery, he was in the military at one point. I thought I thought I was going to have a hard time.
Mm.
And at one point we did, but then a few hours later, so we found the paperwork. Everything's fine. His headstone is to the T. This is perfect. Everything about him was recognized on that tombstone. It was God. I still give God credit.
Wow.
Even now.
Wow. That can give you chills, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the presence on that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning there were some things that were in the balance. And maybe she didn't have the full fight to fight for it. And the Lord did it in your behalf.
Yeah. He took care of it.
The
And
scripture
still
says
believe
that I will vindicate you.
Mm-hmm.
We think we have to always be our advocate, and we do at times. But there are other times that we can say, Lord, I can't, like, you got to make this happen.
Yeah, that's the truth.
And watch and wait.
Mm-hmm.
And more times than not, it's not that it goes in your favor all the time. I don't want to say it like that, but you know He did it.
Yeah.
Any other examples? These are great. These are so good.
Gosh. Mm. I can't. I don't know.
Well, I understand. We've had a lot going here today. With all of that, what can you say about where you are now? Like, how, if you would have told the day 2 days after and the version of Colette now, who is she now? How has she changed?
I'm stepping out of my comfort zone. I'm learning to be me, whatever that is. Not as people or a person would expect me to be. I have to be satisfied with myself and at peace with myself. Um, I have to, through the help of God, define my happiness.
Okay.
And that is just letting go and letting God. That is best I can describe it. Um, Understand that I'm not alone. That there are times where I do feel alone. Even now, it's like, okay, what do I do with myself? But I'm working on my health. I'm doing pretty good. It could make improvements, but it's it could be worse.
Absolutely.
It could be worse. So I'm thankful, and that's the bottom line. I'm thankful.
Beautiful. That is evidence of a happy heart, Colette.
Hmm.
I'm calling it. She may not feel like she's fully that or not fully that, but for someone to first say they have acceptance, that's already a sign of growth. Two, she's choosing in for herself, to advocate for herself, to do the hard stuff. Working out isn't fun. I don't know one person who loves it. Now, I'm not saying that they don't love getting together and that they don't feel better, but there is a mental, why do we have to go? Like, do you need to go? There's a fight. There's this push pull thing. You always feel better after, but there's a mental thing before you leave.
Hmm.
And is it the flesh? Sure, we can name it whatever we want to say, but all that to say is that it's harder to choose in than it is to not, especially if it wasn't something in your basic routine before.
Hmm.
But knowing that, if we keep going the way we're going, something might happen, or an illness or whatever problems. And so you're trying to do the preventive and really extend your life by making some better choices. That's choosing life, Colette.
Right.
And when you choose life, he lifts things off of us.
I always tell the Lord when I'm going through a moment, I want to live, especially when I'm talking about my health. I want to live, Lord. I want to live.
Look,
and that's what I tell him.
I'm telling you. It's in books, y'all. This is not the Micah thinks it's right stuff. The book says when you speak it, your body hears it.
Mm-hmm.
The things we think in our head can change our brain, okay? Thinking negative over time will rot us. Have you seen the little videos about a plant? They said all these negative things to this plant. They said only positive things to this plant. This plant lived, that plant died. We are plants too, okay? We are seeds planted. Trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord. These are things. We are these little oak, and we're growing. I love it here in Franklin where we have all these oak trees as examples to see they're strong, they're solid, they shade, they cover us, they have purpose. And we do too. Mm-hmm. And so when these things come up, you are faced with yourself and what you believe or the limited beliefs that you have. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know how many limited beliefs I had about myself until I was faced with myself. And that's not fun. Let me just tell you, that feels like dirty work because you're having to really work through your feelings, face your body, face the state of your mind, the state of your heart. And it's like too much. Like, where do you start? And so some get stuck because they don't know where to start. And you did it, Colette. You're doing it.
Yeah.
You're doing it. And so this is a message of life. She said, Lord, I want to live. And that is a key to success. Okay? That is a key to success because there are many people battling suicidal thoughts out there that aren't saying that. And they're no longer here. And it affects families.
It does. It really does.
And we have talked with ones on this show where they were a widow from death by suicide. And so this is real. And it's the human experience. And so I am fascinated. Thank you, Colette, for your candor. Thank you for your joy. I hope you felt that all along the way here today. Comment below. We want to hear what more do you want to hear from Colette? We don't have to do a one and done here on the show. We can bring people back because there is so much more than meets the eye. There's so many other stories that we could talk about. We didn't even get into what she did for her job. We didn't get into how many grandchildren we had. There's so much more we could ask, but we're trying to keep these about an hour long. And so any final words, or do you just want to wave goodbye?
I want to say goodbye. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed week. Have a blessed life.
Awesome. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.